I think that our culture sends a message to young men that you should suppress every masculine urge. You should try to cast aside your family. You should try to suppress what makes you a young man in the first place. And I think that my message to young men is don't allow this broken culture to send you a message.
Thank you, Vice President Vance, for bringing this to our attention. I think this is an important topic. And I wanted to say, secondly, that I know that you tweeted about this, and I did follow up and added some more to it on X. Thirdly, I want to communicate that it's really important that you and I, as leaders in America, that we are responsible for our messages that we send to our young people. And I know you specifically sent this to young men, but that also means that young women will be listening to this as well, and it does impact them. And these messages, the connotation that's inside of them is really important. I noticed that when you talked about this, you talked about the masculinity of young men. They should maybe be proud of it. They shouldn't be ashamed of it, that they should embrace it, that there's a broken culture. You basically had, Mr. Vice President, a broad communication with broad connotation. And your content was so broad that these young men, going now to what is that point four, is their minds are not as developed as yours and mine. That should be easy for you and I to both absolutely agree on, and everybody else watching and listening, regardless of what party affiliation. Because let's say it's 28 and below, still learning about relationships, whether it's in marriage, whether it's at work, still learning about life. Even if a 28, a 25, a 22, an 18-year-old doesn't see themselves that way, it's really true that the mind is still developing, and ideas and attitude and behaviors of communication. So I think that your broad connotation and of your wording is needs to be more cautious, and that it's dangerous. So let me say that. The next part is, and this is where my ex posting tweet is really important, because my concern, Mr. Vice President, is that we're not being careful how we word things when it comes to masculinity for young men and for men overall, but young men. And remember, women are listening, because these young men might embrace masculinity to the point that they commit sexual assault. They might embrace masculinity to the point that they have their ego before wisdom. They might do that, and I believe that this is going to cause a problem. And when we're not careful about when we communicate talking to women, when we communicate masculinity, when we communicate, like you said, to embrace masculinity. And this is going to, wow, this is more than one video. Let's go to part two.